We're gonna model we're gonna do some more car stuff. Sorry for the wait. Stuff happened. Let's go. So this part I wanted to talk about the panel lines in the vehicle. I'm just gonna click this icon in the modifier so we can see a little clearer. But we have these different panel lines throughout the vehicle that separate the different parts that make up the car. So for this door, we have a panel line here, we have a panel line there too. So what I wanted to do with this part is to make these, to separate the different parts of our vehicle. So might as well just start with the door. The door is an easier one. So to do this, I'm just going to add a loop cut and bring it in really close to where that edge goes. And this is why in our low poly base model we have edges that go across all of these major panel lines and different accents throughout the car, so we can easily add edge loops that go to that point. I forget if we looked at this, but this was I don't forget if I used these or not, but this is a cool little exercise, I guess, that I like to do sometimes. Just save an actual image of the car you want to make, and then just go over some of the major, not only panel lines that separate the doors and the engine hood and whatnot, but also the different accent lines throughout the vehicle, and just make sure that you have these within the 3D model. I think we have most of the ones that are in this car. We have this one that goes up there, or the one that goes to the main body line, but if we're missing any, we'll fix that shortly. Let's go through these different examples real quick. So this is more accent lines. Yeah, you probably get the point. Yeah, okay, let's just continue making these. Again, just add a loop cut, bring it up real close to the where that panel line is. There are a couple different ways we can do this, but what I like to do is I like to add in 2 edge loops. So I'm just gonna scroll once up, so there, if we zoom in real close, you can see that there's 2 loop cuts through that. Then what we'll do is do the same on this side, and just make sure you get all of those loop cuts in between selected. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring them in a little bit on our x-axis, so just a little bit like that. Oh wait, that's not what I want to do. I want to keep those edge loops there, and then I want to add one more in the middle. This is where things start to get kind of dense, so just add one more loop cut in the middle of those. Oh, we got a lot of edges through here. So we have these ones out. The outer ones are the actual boundaries of these 2 panels. These 2, just sharpen that up, because if you remember with the subsurface modifier, it likes to round things off. So we just add 2 extra edge loops to make sure that it's still sharp. And then these ones in the middle are going to be our dividers. So we'll select those 2 center edges, and these ones we are going to bring just a little bit in. Something like that. Then we're going to click Control B to bevel. A little bit like that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? When I start the display keys, so that tool is bevel, and what bevel does is it basically takes a single edge and sort of expands it to 2. And also, let me just change this back real quick. This is a different theme. It just changes the colors, but I like to keep it default. So It's just the same between everyone. Alright, so we have those two edges beveled now. And then I'm just going to click X to bring up our delete menu and just delete those faces. So now we have a nice little door. If we click, another way to select things is L, which just selects entire objects based off connected vertices and whatnot. So this door is an independent, is now independent from the rest of our car. We can move this around just by itself. And if we click Control Z to enter rendered mode, you will see nothing because there's no light. And let's just go ahead and add a light, just so we can start to see things in our rendered mode. If it looks a little different, just make sure up here is set to cycles. There are a couple different options. Blender Render is more of a, it's an older render engine. It's still good for like NPR, non-photorealistic renders, but I like to use cycles because that's a realistic render engine. So just make sure that's set to cycles, and then if we click Shift A while in object mode, we can add, that's where we added our mesh from, but we can also add a bunch of different types of objects. What we want to add is a lamp and sun. And then we'll just use G to, and rotate R to sort of position it, just something like that maybe. And now if we click Control Z, we have some light in our scene and we can start to see how things are coming along. So now you can see these door panels are nice and door panel-y. They're probably not as sharp as they could be for areas like up here, but we can add some edge loops to fix that. Actually, let's go ahead and do that now. But now the only thing that, since separating our door, if we wanted to add an edge loop across that entire thing, it now doesn't continue through the entire vehicle. So, oh, this is actually that accent line that goes through the entire car. So we do want to add it up here, through the door, and then the rear section as well. And we just want to use this edge loop to sort of sharpen things up a bit. Bring it in real close, repeat the process for the back, try to align it to the same point as the ones in the door so they're consistent, and then just repeat that process on the front. Just going to edge slide it up a bit. And now we have that nice sharp accent line that goes through the entire body. Starting to look pretty good, I think. Let's go ahead and continue along with these different panel lines, as we have a bunch more to do. Let's go ahead and do this one on the rear. First, I'm just going to position these a little bit more straight. Might be kind of nitpicky, but just straighten them out a little bit. And actually what I want to do is just look up a reference picture of the trunk, because I'm not entirely sure how this goes. Not a bad habit to get into though, if you just look up a reference picture for them. Alright, Dodge Challenger trunk. All that really shows up is Dodge Charger trunks, which is not the vehicle we're making. Can't really find a good picture actually. How does this trunk work? Ah, here's a good one actually. Alright, so the trunk line, we want a trunk line that comes all the way down this line. And yeah. So we're just going to add a Control R loop cut that comes in close to that edge. Then we're just going to repeat the process that we used for the door. So we have our two boundary lines. We're going to add two loop cuts across for our accents, I guess. just to maintain the shape. And then we add one more in the middle. That will be our the one that we moved downwards in this case. So I'm just gonna grab that, bring it down a little bit. And since things are getting kind of crowded, we are working in a pretty tight, confined space here. Sometimes the subsurf modifier can sort of block our view, so we can just click that eye icon to turn it off temporarily. Then we're just going to bevel it using Control B, and then delete those faces. And if we turn this back on, you'll see we have a nice little trunk line. And that makes that a separate component. Where else do we have things? Oh, we have this one that for the bumper sort of comes. Oh, this one. All right, so this is a little bit more advanced or complicated. Not really too hard, but what we were doing is just adding loop cuts that goes close. But here we have, if we just add a loop cut that goes to this line, it just goes to this, and we don't really want it to go all the way down here. We want it to go to this point and then cut left. So actually I'm going to straighten this out to this line. So here's what we can do. I like to split this into two pieces. I'm going to delete this face, and we'll fill that back in a second, but this just makes adding the loop cuts really easy. So now if we add a loop cut up here that comes to that line, it doesn't go all the way down to this face down here. We can go ahead and add a loop cut to that that part there. And then if we make sure we're on vertices select here, you just keep sort of switching between them, but that's how you can swap between vertice, edge, and face select. We're going to select the single vertice, sort of extrude it at that angle, and then we'll just fill in a face like that, and fill in a face like that, and then we're able to fill in that quad back. And what this does is it now enables us to have, a loop cut that cuts that corner basically. What we might want to do is go ahead and add an edge loop up here to the trunk to line up with this one that we have here, just for consistency. Alright. Now we're just going to repeat the process that we've been using for this one. It just looks a little different because it's has that corner. So add the two edge loops for reinforcement. Add the one in the middle for moving. And here we might have to split this up into a couple different pieces too, because we want, it's going to go to a rear view. We want these ones to come in. We want some of them to come in across the X, but we also want these top ones, in order just to be aligned properly, we want them to come down a little bit. So I'm going to deselect these top ones for now, and we'll move those in a second. I'm just going to move these ones on the side in a bit. Then we'll go ahead and grab these top ones. Don't be afraid to zoom in, because you kind of need it. Alright, now we'll go ahead and bring these ones down. And then just sort of, maybe this corner one we could angle a little bit. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and select, Shift Alt right click to select that entire edge. Just repeat the process, Control B to bevel just a little bit, to X, delete faces. We may have to sharpen that up a bit because we don't really want, yeah, we'll go ahead and sharpen that. We will add an edge loop across here, maybe to that point, and we'll go ahead and add the one up here to match it. something like that. Maybe like that. Yeah, that looks good. Shift Z to check out our work. We have our back bumper separated. We have our trunk separated. We still have this big old piece up here. We have our door separated. And also, if right now our subsurface modifier is at 2, our levels are at 2. But if we start to zoom in, you can see the edges that are these clear edges where the vertices are right here. So maybe what we can do, it's fine for now. If it's only, you can only really notice if you're zoomed in a lot. But if for our final renders, when we're done modeling it, maybe we can crank up the render to something like 3 or 4, and this just helps smooth it out a little bit. So now, if we put that at 3, then we have a vertice there as well, and the angle is sort of split in half. So maybe we'll keep it at, we'll probably just keep it at 3. It's, again, it's just a small little detail, but if you plan on doing like close shots with it, then you might want to crank that up. But we'll just keep it at 2 to keep our viewport running smoothly. Where else do we got? I think we might have one here. I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's go ahead, and we definitely have one on this pillar right here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll just add an edge loop, bring it in real close. Control R, add the 2 for reinforcement, and add the one in the middle. And this one I'm not going to bring in across the X or Y or anything. I'm just going to sort of manually move it back something like that, just to match the angle of the pillar. And then I will bevel it, something like that. Delete those faces. Separated. Now we have, oh, the roof is a separate part. We got the panel line up here, so let's go ahead and repeat the process for that one. Bring in an edge loop real close. Oh, just a quick notice. You do want to sort of, for modeling other vehicles, you do want to sort of keep in mind which side you choose to add your edge loop. For example, on this roof, I want to add it on this side because the edge loop only goes to the roof. But if I were to add it on this side, then the edge would go all the way down this front pillar as well, and that's not really what we want. And our placement of that, we just kind of kept it in mind while doing the low poly model. So, but you can always edit it if you didn't, if it doesn't work out the way you want it to. So let's bring that in real close. And if you weren't already familiar or comfortable with navigating around the viewport, this will really force you, because you're zooming in a lot in order to see closely what you're doing. So again, just the 2 edge loops for emphasis, for reinforcement, and this one will be bringing down. Control B to bevel. Delete those faces. Now we have a nice roof separation. One thing that when I first started doing this, I was sort of worried about the consistency between the width of the panel separations, but honestly it's such a small difference that it's really hard to tell, so I wouldn't worry about that personally. Alright, let's go ahead and grab, alright, so we got the one for this front bumper that goes here, sort of mirroring the one on the, here, I'm going to change the pencil color if I know how. It's a tint. Make it red. Is that the right color? Nope. Oh, stroke here. Let's make it a brighter color because it's getting kind of hard to see. So we have this one that sort of is the same style as the one on the back, and then we have the one that goes across here, and then maybe that's the engine hood. Alright, we'll take a look at that in a second. But let's go ahead and get this this corner one again. Just want to move this vertice up a little bit. I'll just GG it sort of straight. And we'll just switch to face select, delete that corner face, add in that that edge there, add in the edge up for the upper portion, switch to vertices select, extrude it out at an angle, fill in these corner faces, fill in the quad. And what I like about that method is that it doesn't interrupt our edge across the vehicle at all. So with that edge done, we're gonna add those two reinforcement edges. What am I doing? Oh, that's caps lock. Deselect, add the one in the middle, and again this is a little bit more of a complicated curved one, so I am going to deselect the ones in the top. Maybe those. Bring these ones on the side in from the x-axis or whatever. Someone was correcting me on how they were saying vertice instead of vertex, and I think you get the point. I'm bad at talking, so don't select these vertices on the top. Bring them down. Maybe these ones on the corner we can just navigate into a little bit more of a rounded fashion. Alright, so we have those brought in. I'm going to go into wireframe so I can sort of see. Select that edge, bevel away, X delete faces. And we got that. Our whoopsies. Our bumper is now separate. Let's go ahead and just turn this off for a sec. Looks like we just have this engine hood one. So we'll go ahead and add an edge loop like that. I'll turn this back on for coolness effect, I guess. Yep, we'll go ahead and bring that in real close. Add two edges for reinforcement again. Add the one down. Just bring this down a bit. Bevel. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. I'm going to go back a couple steps. Alright, what happened here? Oh, our triangle is messing with things. Alright, I'm going to go back a couple steps. And alright, so we want the edge to go through this entire hood, but it's just kind of stopping because we have this triangle here that's interrupting things. This is why we try not to have triangles, but I put one there anyways, and now we have to do some extra work. So honestly not that big of a deal, but so if we add this edge loop again, that one was fine. But now I'm going to use a tool called the knife tool, and what this does is it allows us to make cuts in our model. So I'm going to turn this off so we can see clearer. This is an interesting tool, but it's really hard to ruin. I mean, it's really easy to ruin geometry this way. So you try to use it only when you have to, but it's really good for just cleaning up triangles. So use K, and then you select this vertex here at the end, and sort of drag a line across this edge. pointing at my computer screen, but you can't see me, so it doesn't help. Now you just click enter to confirm. And then what we'll do is we'll merge these two vertices. So we still have a triangle here, but now we have an edge loop that goes through that. And I think, yeah, we'll just merge those two vertices as well. Now the edge loop goes all the way through. And now what we can do is, I think I want to move this list up. No, that's fine. Oh, we also have to make sure, no, that's fine, that's fine. We're going to add our two, now we can add those two edge loops across, and it doesn't, it goes through. Then we'll add the one in the middle. Bring it downwards. Bevel. And delete those faces. If we turn our subsurf modifier back on, we now have the hood as a separate piece. So this is starting to come along. You can really start to see the details in the vehicle. Of course, there's still a lot to go, but we're slowly but surely moving along. And the next part, maybe we can talk about, maybe we'll model the window, the trim pieces around the windows, perhaps. Oh, just a random thing. Someone was asking about fender flares, and that's pretty easy to make. Since we already have these edges that go all the way across, you could just sort of bring them out. That's just a quick, lazy way to do it, but the geometry is already in place. You just have to move it around a little bit. But maybe we can talk about like accessories and creating a modded car afterwards, I guess. I wasn't really thinking about it, but sorry for the long wait again. We ended up losing power. My computer was having issues, so I couldn't sign into it. And then as soon as I got that fixed, there was a storm where I live, and we lost power for a couple days. So I apologize for the long delay. There are actual reasons. I was going crazy, but yeah. Look forward to seeing the next part. Hopefully you found this part interesting and useful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.